Two guys either side of 50 with one dream to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. And we are back for episode 6 of the Missing Links Golf Show. I'm Steve Hinks, and I'm joined by our very own Adam Scott impersonator, Andy Walker, here on episode 6 of the Missing Links Golf Show. Welcome, Andy Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Hinks. Great to be here. Great to be here for episode 6. And yeah, look, I am feeling very much aligned with Adam Scott, with the broomy, with the aim point. I wish my swing would perhaps be a little bit more aligned with his, but maybe his bank balance as well would be good. But yeah, look, the aim point and broomy probably is where my alignment with him ends at this point in time.
See, it's really interesting that you've picked up on that, because the reason that I threw that into the intro was in response to some listener feedback that I've received during the week. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes,
excellent.
This is true.
So they do see the Adam Scott in my game. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but the message was along the lines of, hey, Andy Walker, I've just picked up by listening, to all the episodes. I'm paraphrasing. Long-time listener, obviously, from being with us from episode 1.
But first-time feedback, or
no,
give it a bit of feedback.
Yeah, a recidivist on the feedback front. But I don't think that's the right word. Actually, that sounds quite.
I have no idea what that means, so I'm just going along with it.
Yeah, it means repeat offender. But anyway, it's no, this is a very good friend of the show. Excellent, outstanding friend of the show, as a matter of fact. One of our closest friends. And he was just piecing it together. He said, look, I've been listening and I'm starting to form a view of Andy Walker based on A, the broomstick putter.
Yep.
B, the love of ball striking. And C, this newfound fascination with aim point. All equals Adam Scott.
Yeah, look, and if I could impersonate my game with Adam Scott, I would be more than happy with that. And I think it's quite a compliment to be able to be aligned with Adam Scott. So I don't see any issues with that at all.
Yeah, I'm not 100% convinced that this listener has in fact seen you play, or in fact seen you in person. So I don't. All I'm saying is I wouldn't draw too much from that feedback, other than you've got some strange beliefs around putting.
Because that wasn't what I was pulling from that. But
no, I don't hate to burst your bubble. I quite enjoy it.
Thanks, mate. What are friends for?
Oh, I know. If your mates can't be honest, who can? But look, this leads us, I suppose, into the first topic for discussion, which is listener feedback. Andy Walker, there's a few things that we need to cover from our listeners, and obviously that was point number 1. The next point, I think this is an interesting one, and one that I didn't necessarily think about when we were having our conversations in the last few episodes, and that is for our American listeners. Howdy y'all over in the US of A. I don't know how many states actually say howdy y'all. Is that just down in the South? I don't really know.
I think so. I'm not convinced that New Yorkers go hey y'all.
What do you think they say, Andy Walker?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hey. Oh no, that's Canadian, isn't it? I've got to stop this, because we're actually going to manage to put offside most of the rest of the English-speaking world. I do apologise. It's not good. Nevertheless, I'm interested to know how you say hello, what the common greeting is. What is your version of g'day throughout the US of A? So please hit us up on the Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook and let us know how you greet each other. That would be, certainly a lesson learned for me.
Could it potentially be the Joey Tribbiani How you doing?
Hey, oh, I know that was the fonts. How you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was.
right.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
you doing? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Yeah, maybe. Um,
And having been a long time lover and watcher of Friends, was one of my favorite shows, and well, still is one of my favorite shows. So, yeah, massive fan of Joey
oh,
Tribbiani.
yes. Also Chandler. Shout out to Chandler,
Mm.
Matthew Perry.
Yeah, that was
Um,
very sad.
very sad.
Obviously, he
Will
had
be
his
sorely missed.
challenges in his life, but yeah, what an amazing human.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great show. Great show.
Mm.
We love Friends. We love Friends. Lots of fun. But back to the point, which is
Yes,
to our listeners in the US. We, I think, have been quite clear about the fact that we talk in meters when we're talking distances on the golf course, not in
correct.
yards. That's a bit of an Australian thing. Of
Although, in
course,
saying that as well, we talk in feet when we're talking about putts, which is a
that's
little bit
true.
strange.
That's true. That
Mm.
is true.
Yeah, so
Can't,
we do flick between the metric and imperial systems, which we probably should sort out our consistency, both on
well,
and off the golf course.
in talking about golf and in playing golf, inconsistent. Yeah,
Mm.
it's true actually. I mean, we do. I mean, who said you don't often say, "Oh, I had a
3
90
meter
centimeter,
putt, yeah.
I had a 90 centimeter putt." Like, who
Mm.
says that? It's 3 footer.
No, it's
You
3 foot, yeah.
Yeah. So good point. So it's feet and meters. That makes no sense.
Mm. Yeah.
Makes no sense. Anyhow, if we want to even get more confusing, let's talk weather because last episode. Last episode, you might recall I was talking about the round that I played in Bathurst when I teed off and the temperature was 5 degrees. Now, it's true, it was 5 degrees, but it was 5 degrees Celsius, not 5 degrees Fahrenheit. And
Correct.
I looked at the converter on Google, and if it
It's
was
pretty chilly.
if it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit, it would have been minus 15
Mm.
Celsius. So I think if you're in the US and you were listening to me talking about teeing off in 5 degrees and you were sitting there going, this guy is obviously we're going for a clean rating on iTunes here,
Mm.
so I won't finish
Mm.
that sentence, but you can
Talking
imagine.
rubbish.
Yes, making it up.
Mm.
Um, no, I was not making it up. I was, in fact, teeing off in 5 degrees Celsius, which equates to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So still pretty cold,
Mm.
but certainly not 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I will tell the story later in this episode about the last round, which was on the weekend, and that was in 36 degrees Celsius, which equates to 97 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is quite a
That
swing in
is
the
warm.
space of a week.
Mm.
And that was warm. That was very tough. We'll get to that though. So that I think covers off that piece of feedback from our friends in the US. Thank you very much for that. Asking for clarification, I think that's fair. Hopefully, that's answered that question. Another one that we had is around the length of the episodes. We keep kind of referencing the 45-minute barrier when we're getting to 45 minutes. I'm not sure if that's a metric or an imperial measurement. Andy Walker, would you care to elaborate?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to discuss that and think about that a little bit more in depth, I think.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that metric or imperial comes into time.
No.
Anyhow, that's just, I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts? I feel like that's just kind of what we've been told in the research, isn't it?
Yeah, look, there's a lot of podcasts that go on for quite a long time, and you see some that are even 2 3 hours, and to me, that's a little bit self-indulgent.
Mm.
There's a lot of podcasters I find that I've listened to that just they want to just impress you with their knowledge, right? Whereas I don't think that's what this is about. That's not what we're trying to do. We're on a journey.
Is
We're
that
trying to
because we don't have a huge amount of knowledge to impress people with?
that may have something to do with it.
Okay.
Although we are acquiring knowledge, which we'll get to
Yep.
in a little bit. Just the amount of information that is out there on golf. However, for us, I think this is a journey for us. This isn't about uh, giving as much technical information as we possibly can. This is a journey for us to get from where we are, get our games ready to go on to the senior amateur tour and play our best golf in on the amateur tour. So, 45 minutes, I don't necessarily think we need to stick to 45 minutes, but I certainly don't think 2 and 3 hours, because I have a tendency those episodes just to switch off with the other podcasters. I can listen to an hour and a half, like it's sort of about an hour and a half from where I am down to Sydney. So an hour and a half, I'll either listen to an audiobook or one of the longer podcasts. However, I think 45 minutes is actually quite a good sweet spot for most people going into work. And if you need to listen to two, if it's an hour and a half or 2 hours, just listen to the same episode twice. I mean,
well, you could do that. And from what I hear, that happens. It's not a bad option, because there's always bits you miss.
Correct.
And there's, even though there's not a huge amount of knowledge to impart, there's a lot of knowledge in there. So
there is.
Yeah. So why not listen to it twice? Absolutely. Listen to it 3 times. All right. Well, there's another question actually that got thrown up. This one I think is a cracking question.
Yeah.
And it's a simple question. And the question is, who is Sandy Wedge?
Very good question.
Very good question.
Because he has popped up on our Facebook page.
He has
with a comment or two.
He has. I mean, I don't refer to him as Sandy Wedge, simply as Sandy Wedge. I always refer to him as the great Sandy Wedge. He's a great man. And
has he ever been referred to as Wedgie?
No, he hasn't. He hates it. In fact,
right.
Hates it. Yeah. No, he would not accept that. Who is Sandy Wedge? I mean, we could spend an entire episode trying to answer this question, and I still don't think that we would do it justice. But I do. This much I will say: the great Sandy Wedge, the great man himself. And shout out to you, Sandy, if you're out there. And I know he will be listening because he's an absolute lover of the show. He's a friend of the show. But the great man is a legendary golf reporter. But he has made a career out of covering what could be described as the minor tours, the amateur tours, and sometimes even the social tours.
Right.
So you'll never, he's not a Roger Maltby or any of your. And I don't know why I picked that name as one of the leading names. He's not a Jim Nance. Sandy has long been a follower of Missing Links Golf for many, many years before this podcast existed. I think since probably back in 2008 when the Missing Links Golf Society started. So he's always been there or thereabouts. He's written many a review of many Missing Links golfers in the build-up to Missing Links Masters each year, which we'll talk more about in the second half of the show.
Is he fairly critical when it comes to an individual's golf game?
No, he's honest. I think he's honest. Can be cutting at times.
But that's just good reporting.
Well, yeah, he brooks no fools. And he certainly will call it as he sees it. And I think there's no other way, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, Sandy, we'd love to get Sandy on the show. It's not as easy as you would think because he's a very, very busy man and he's out there doing his mysterious things. But we would love to get him on the show at some point. So we'll put that on notice. Sandy, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, please get in contact with us via the Facebook page, Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook, or even via email at the Missing Links Golf Show @gmail.com. Another way you can get in contact with us for everybody who's listening. But we'll try and get a bit more out of Sandy because I think people are curious to learn more about him.
Oh, look, and I think he would provide some very valuable insights into our journey and certainly the history of the Missing Links Golf Society. I mean, it's he's been a part of it almost since day one.
He has. He has sometimes done a review of all of the participants in the Masters. I'm hoping he might do that for us this year.
Okay, that will be interesting
in the lead up. And if that's the case, that might be something that we can cover next week before tee off in round one.
Okay, looking forward to that.
That's exciting. So in our 45-minute podcast, that's a fantastic 15-minute intro.
Excellent, excellent.
before we've actually got to the agenda.
Mm.
But that's okay. So today we want to cover a few things. We've obviously talked about listener feedback, and I'm glad that it's taking a third of the show to go through listener feedback. That's showing some pretty good engagement. We do want to talk about a few things: some training updates, some new initiatives that might be on the table, some competition updates, and of course finish off with our part one in the build up to the Missing Links Masters, which is fast approaching. So Andy Walker, probably a question for you. Since in the last episode, we talked about the incident. In fact, we called the
Yes.
episode "The Incident."
Yeah.
Have you got any updates on your stack training and or equipment post the incident?
Yes. Yes. Well, I mentioned that we had a response from the stack saying that the stack device will be fine. A little bit of damage there, but it should be fine, which is great. So nothing more needed to be done with the stack. But today, in fact, the Garmin G80, the refurbished Garmin G80 arrived in the post. So
That's
I'm
exciting.
just about to start on my stack journey again. Now, there are I can't just go straight into my program that I
You
was
need to
in
get
before.
restacked.
You need to get restacked.
Wow.
Which yeah, there's an interim uh, session that you have to basically get work back into the program and where you left off. So I'm going to have to do that, and then hopefully next week I'll be back into my program. But quite interestingly, I did go out and play a couple of holes over the weekend. I had a real on Saturday. I had a really good short game and putting session. Actually took David McClellan's advice on putting in that I did 1.5 foot, 3 foot, 6 foot. There goes our feet again. And I actually did
So you went
that.
sort of that 45 centimeter, 90 centimeter, 180 centimeter type. It doesn't sound right.
Yeah,
I can't get on board.
whatever that conversion is from feet. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I was pretty close.
Yeah. So I did I did it from basically one side of the hole, went to the other side of the hole, and then I
What was the
did
temperature when you were doing this, by the way?
oh look, it probably would have been, I reckon, around 26 degrees Celsius.
Okay. That I think is about 75. I'll come back to you. Give me a moment. Keep going.
Yeah, so with got the Garmin G80. Haven't taken it out of the box yet, but yes, will definitely be my next stack session is scheduled in the Google Calendar on Friday morning. So I've got my resistance and cross trainer tomorrow morning, and then Friday morning is going to be my first stack session back. So really looking forward to it. I felt as though I was making some pretty good gains with the stack, and certainly we've got permission from the guys at the stack to post screenshots of what my progress is with the stack. So we will be doing that and tagging them in because they're a great bunch of guys.
That's awesome. That's really good. And if you're playing along at home, 26 degrees is actually 79 Fahrenheit.
Ooh,
So
it's
there you go.
close.
Yeah, I was not
Close.
far off. Not far off. That's good. That's good. And I am excited to share some of these screenshots from the guys at the stack as well, because I think that's fantastic. It just seems that they're a company that just wants to help golfers get better.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, and that's it. They they took an interest in what we are doing, and they basically said, yeah, go for it, tag us in. They did say that they potentially may repost our post, which would be really exciting for us
Oh,
in episode 6 if they could repost one of our tags. So yeah, look, it's a really good, I think, a really good organization to be involved with.
yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's what it's all about. Golfers helping golfers to become better golfers.
Correct.
Could be a tagline.
Mm.
Um, so any other new arrivals, any other new training aids turned up for you, Andy Walker?
Yes. Yes, I've taken your advice in
Whoa.
that, yeah, I know,
Whoa.
in that I'm trialing putting a line on my ball to line up my aim point.
That is exciting. I know that this is a podcast, so you can't see the facial expressions that are going on right now, but that is very exciting. I don't know what I'm more excited about. Of is it you drawing a line on your golf balls and seeing if that helps, or the fact that you've taken my advice for once? I
Mm,
think that's
yeah.
actually. I think I need to sit down.
Mm. So
That's
you are sitting, aren't you?
well, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, cool.
Um,
So yeah, so our friends at Golf Clearance Outlet, I did. I went on their website and I bought a little device which you can draw your line on. They delivered it very promptly. Really good service from them. So yeah, so I spent a little bit of time. I did actually take it out of the box, and I
it
went
works
and
better that way, which is good.
it does. Whereas the G80 obviously is still in the box.
Still in the box. Yeah.
So yeah, spent a little bit of time in the garage just marking up some of my new Titleists, which I'm really looking forward to getting out and having a game with them just to see how it works.
There's two things I'm interested to hear when maybe when you go and do a practice. One is obviously, does it help? Does it help in terms of starting it online? But the other is how do you go rolling the ball on the line with the seam up, so to speak? Because that can be harder than it sounds.
Mm,
And what I think as well is it gives you really good visual feedback immediately as to whether or not you've struck the putt sweetly and squarely, or if you've
yep,
imparted a little bit of side spin on it. Because if you can roll the line perfectly, like a seam up,
yep,
the way I used to bowl, obviously. If you
of
can,
course,
if you can do that, you've hit a perfect putt. And even if you miss the putt, you know that you hit the
yep,
line that you wanted to hit, and then
mm,
either it's just a misread or it's the wrong speed.
yep,
But when you hit it and it scrambles, it's immediate feedback to know whether or not you've had a good straight strike on the ball.
yep.
So for me, that's another benefit which
Okay,
you don't get otherwise.
yeah,
So that'd be
yeah,
that'd be
no,
interesting.
yeah. No, look, it's gonna be an interesting journey experience. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works with Aimpoint. I've done a little bit more work with Aimpoint, which brings me to my third piece of equipment
Oh, stop it! This is too much in a week.
that's actually arrived, and that's a digital level. Because
Digital level.
with Aimpoint, and again, don't want to give too much away in regards to the system itself. However, part of it is learning to understand and feel slopes through your feet. So then having a digital level to, I guess, gain some consistency around what you're feeling. And then you can use the Aimpoint system to be able to gauge where your target line is. So the digital level, it's not something that you can use in competition, but it's something that I can go and practice with and practice how the feel of the slope so that I can get a level of consistency with the aim point system and reading the target line.
Mm. So yeah, you mentioned you can't use it in competition. Obviously, it would be
Correct.
it would be illegal.
Mm.
Um, wow, that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest with you, the more I am learning about Aimpoint and the more I've used it, the more I believe it's going to be a pretty big, or going to have a very big impact on my putting. I'm really impressed with it so far.
Okay, so are you going the whole way in terms of obviously doing the feel the ground with your feet sort of stuff and all that sort of gear, and then doing
Correct.
the fingers in the air and all that
Correct.
sort of gear? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
and
Yep.
that's degrees of slope that you're one or two, that sort of thing. Is that?
Could
Oh,
be.
you're not allowed to comment on these
Could
things.
be.
This is intellectual property. Okay, that's fine. I'll back away from the conversation. No problem. Okay, looking forward to seeing that on the
Mm.
on the greens in Mudgee.
Yes.
See how that works. I'm sure that
Mm.
that won't attract any comment from any of your playing partners at all.
No, I'm sure it won't. I'm sure my playing partners will give me the latitude that I need to be able to
Uh,
implement whatever system that
with,
I decide
without a doubt.
to put into my
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. Missing Links Golf is supportive golf, ladies and gentlemen. So that will absolutely happen. There's no doubt.
You
But
know what
look,
I am looking forward to, though? I'm looking forward to seeing what Sandy Wedge has to say about aim point.
that's a good question.
I mean,
Yeah.
and correct me if I'm wrong, Sandy Wedge seems like a bit of an old school
Oh, yeah.
golfer, sort of in the
Yeah.
Dave
Yeah. Yeah.
McCollum type of
Yeah. Yeah.
school
Yeah.
of golf. You know,
Yeah.
they're both very similar outlook. So, aim point being a relatively new concept within within golf, I'm very interested to hear what Sandy Wedge has to say about aim point and my use of it, and
Yeah. I
also how
mean,
close I am to Adam Scott in my game.
yeah, I think what I know of Sandy, he he probably hasn't really moved on from the Balata ball. So it's fair to say
Right.
that aim point will challenge him a little
Mm,
bit. And I don't know what he would make of your use of the stack as well.
mm,
I'm merely guessing here, but I feel that that could potentially be cause for scrutiny from
mm,
Sandy's pen. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully he'll do a review for us next week, and we'll have
mm.
something to talk about on the show.
And look, at the end of the day, you know, the proof is in the pudding. In that, my uh, if the length of my of how what I hit my driver and all my irons, if my length increases, then you know that's really all that it really needs to say to me, and that will be obviously through Arcos. And it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to the likes of Arcos and shot scope and strokes gained. Because again, I would think he's probably leans more into the fairways and regulations and greens and regulations rather than the strokes gained data.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. I think for him, strokes gained is some type of mumbo jumbo.
Mm,
So yeah, look, we'll see. We'll see what he makes of it. And obviously there'll be an entire conversation to have. Should we get him on the show? I think these are some of the questions that you need to ask as well,
oh, for
because
sure.
that could definitely be interesting to see his responses. You never know. Hopefully we'll be able to get him on the show.
Mm.
Sandy, if you're out there, reach out. We look forward to chatting. In fact, be interesting to see if he pops any commentary on the Facebook page after this episode to answer some of those questions.
Mm.
We'll certainly see. Excuse me.
So,
Now,
so what about yourself, Mr. Hinks? Have you got any updates for us through the
well,
week? Anything exciting happen on or off the golf course?
well, I haven't been well,
Okay,
um,
that's not good.
unfortunately. Nothing serious, just a cold,
Mm, mm,
just change of weather, that sort of
yeah.
thing. And that's created a few little issues in terms of sticking to my training plan, albeit you'll be happy to know that I have put my committed training plan in the shared Google Calendar. So
I did notice that. I
so
did
so
notice
that
that.
that is there. I
Mm,
have been trying to follow it as much as I possibly can, but some of the physical stuff I've actually had to kind of let go a little bit over the last few days just
yep.
to fully recover. Which um, I'll talk about in a moment what took place over the weekend, but something that I would like to talk about, as you know, my focus really over the period of the last week or two has been trying to nail this move with the front foot to generate a little bit of rotation to improve ball striking with irons in particular. I feel I am seeing some success. I sent you a video that I recorded in the net in the garage
Correct.
earlier today,
Mm,
and I got a very cryptic message in reply from you.
mm,
So I feel like now's the time to have this conversation, Andy Walker.
mm.
What were you referring to?
Yeah, look, I did. I had a bit of a look at your swing, and it's something that I've never really noticed before. However, I looked at it and I went, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting, and it's in your backswing, and I put your video up against a video, quite coincidentally, of Adam Scott.
Cool.
just for comparison. And I feel as though your weight shift on your backswing is actually to your right, like to your front foot rather than your back foot.
Ooh.
Which then, and I've got a couple of stills which I might post on the Facebook page just so we can have a look at what I'm talking about. It looks as though at the top of your swing, the only place you can go is forward with your hips rather than as you're trying to work on clearing your hips and getting them out of the way. And that's because it looks as though your weight is still planted on your front foot, which is your right foot.
Probably true.
Mm.
That's interesting feedback. I've never
Yeah.
heard that before, and that's possibly because I've never had a lesson, which we
Well, you
have
did at
talked about
school.
before. Yeah, I've never had a coach in golf.
Yes.
I've never had a
Yes.
coach. I have had practice sessions. I've never had a coaching session.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
is indeed interesting feedback. I'm going to go back to that video and have a look at that as well.
Mm.
I can tell you just from knowing how my swing feels, that sounds pretty true.
Mm. Yeah. So and look, I'm not a coach by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that it would be, in your interests to go and engage a coach and maybe have a conversation with them around this point is that, yeah, I think in the backswing, you need to have your weight going onto as you rotate onto your left foot so that then as your weight comes forward in the downswing, you can clear your left side through impact. And I think that would have a pretty big that would make a pretty big difference in your swing. But as I said, I'm not a golf coach by any stretch of the imagination. So it was just something that I picked up. And look, we've played golf now a fair bit, and it's not something I've ever picked up before. But when you sent me this video, which is a front-on video, I just looked at it and went, "Oh wow,
Well, that's an
okay."
angle that you probably don't see much because it's not like you
Mm,
stand next to the tee box, right?
no, no.
So, okay, so a couple of questions on that is I've always found it difficult to complete the backswing and get the club all the way around to parallel.
Yep.
So, assuming what you're saying is true, that would impact that, I would think. Yeah. Because that would
Yeah.
make it difficult to get a full turn in the backswing if you still got weight on the front foot.
Yeah, yeah, certainly helps when you've got your weight distribution correct, and as we spoke about before, on your backswing to rotate effectively. Well, I was always taught to rotate around my spine, but that in turn leads to your weight predominantly being on your back foot, which for me is my right foot, your left foot, because you stand on the wrong side of the ball.
The right side of
Uh,
the ball. If you're standing behind it, looking up the fairway, it's actually the right side of the ball. Anyway,
and then as you and this is part of clearing the left side as you on your downswing, and this is sort of part of where what I'm trying to work on, staying on plane, but then clearing the left side through impact, and I think that certainly is more difficult if your weight transfer isn't correct in the backswing.
mm. Two more questions on
Mm.
this. One, if what you're saying is true, and I then got that weight transfer and then back through the ball, that would add distance, yeah?
For
You
sure.
think?
Yeah. Yeah, you would think so. Given that and again, I'm no expert around sequencing, but a lot of the modern golf talk is around sequencing. And you watch the likes of Adam Scott and Tiger and Rory McIlroy is a classic example, is that they're moving forward. Their first move as they change direction is moving forward, and a lot of the time their hips are moving forward before they complete their backswing, and then it's just clearing your hips, and that creates your momentum through impact.
Very interesting. My last question on this
Mm.
topic is are you genuinely trying to help, or are you dropping this bombshell a week out before the Missing Links Masters in an epic attempt to completely screw my swing up prior to the tournament?
Do I have to answer that question?
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you can be your own
Mm,
judge on that
mm,
one. Time will tell. Will I take any notice of it? Will I just car park that one for 2 weeks' time?
mm.
I don't
No,
know.
I think it's in your head now.
You think remodel the entire swing in the next
Yeah,
week? Yeah, yeah,
correct,
yeah,
correct,
yeah, yeah.
correct.
What could possibly go wrong?
Mm.
Let's do that without any lessons. Like, let's not get a coach involved. Let's just try and
What,
do it. Try and
what,
self-diagnose.
what are mates for? You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, I like this. This is exactly the path to self-improvement that we set ourselves on when we started out in this journey. It's fantastic.
Mm.
Okay, so coming back to the other point, I have had a couple of competition rounds since we last spoke over the past week. One of them was, as we talked about in the last episode, was round one of the club championships, which was played on Saturday, a stroke event at the beautiful rolling fairways of Dubbo Golf Club. Another, though, that I do want to talk about first was a very tough competition that I played the previous Sunday.
Yep.
And I didn't have a chance to mention this in the last episode. It's an event that was referred to as the Hinksey Cup.
The Hinksey Cup.
Yeah, the Hinksey Cup,
Mm.
which was contested between myself, my beautiful wife, my son, and my daughter. Made up the four ball, and that was on the luscious fairways of Orange Mini Golf Club,
Excellent.
which was good because the focus on short game. I think that putting a competitive edge on the short game around the par 56 Orange Mini Golf Course
Excellent.
certainly put things under pressure. Look, I'm really proud to say that I won, and I took out the prize with an impressive 7 under par 49
Wow.
around the 18 holes of Orange Mini Golf Club. So it was an emotional win. Yeah, I mean my 10-year-old son was leading for a while, but I feel like I got in his head.
You ran him down.
Yeah,
Mm.
and overcame that by the turn. But what was impressive on the 18th hole, par 4, 18th hole, my beautiful wife Rebecca made a hole in one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Just
first
a bit
hole
too
in
far
one.
behind.
First, yeah, a little bit too far behind. Couldn't make up the difference. I think she finished 2 over for the round, but a fantastic shot. And that, as a matter of fact, Andy Walker goes down officially as the first hole in one in Missing Links Golf Show history. So
Wow.
congratulations.
Nice.
That's a fantastic performance.
Well done, Beck. You know
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's a great effort.
Yeah, and what I liked about it as well, it was on the last, so that's going to keep her coming back,
Mm.
which I think is important. We've all
Excellent.
had those days when you've had a tough round, but you have a
Yep.
fantastic finish, and it keeps you coming back the next week. So well done. We look forward to giving that one another go at some point. And yeah, good day out, good place.
So, did you actually win a cup? Is there a cup for the Hinksey Cup?
Oh, we've got a lot of cups. Yeah, so I had my choice of whichever one I wanted afterwards.
Excellent.
Which was nice cup of tea. I think it might have been. So yeah,
Excellent.
it was inspirational victory.
Mm.
But moving on, the club championship. So I mentioned before, I played in some hot conditions. It was 36 degrees, which is 97 Fahrenheit.
Pretty
It was
warm.
warm.
Mm.
Not feeling great. So the old summer cold was starting to kick in.
Yep.
Played an afternoon round, and I've got to admit, on the practice green, not feeling 100%. So really trying to work in as many excuses at the beginning of the story as I
Mm.
possibly can,
Yeah.
which would explain why the round started bogey, bogey, double, double, to see me
Ooh.
6 over after 4 holes. Not an
Mm.
awesome start.
No.
We will talk about the mental approach at some point in the not too distant future. And I think it's important because let's just say by the fifth tee, I was not in a great space. In fact, just walking off the fourth tee, I was not in a great space because the fourth, as you might know, long par 4, slight dog leg right.
Yep.
can't cut the corner because there's a massive big tree on the corner. Nevertheless, I did, and for me, that cutting the corner would be a draw / hook. I hit what can only be described as some kind of low rope hooking, smother, over the top spin, forehand kind of horrible thing, which rolled up onto the adjacent green, which is
So you're saying just your stock standard shot is
no,
that what you're telling me?
I'm
No,
not saying that at all.
no.
No, it's far better than that. No, it was horrible. It was really, really horrible. I may have got a bit more cranky on that tee box than was necessary. So my
Right.
heartfelt apologies to my playing partners for the day.
You'd never see
But
me do that.
no, never seen you get cranky at all. But
No.
what was better is that the adjacent hole is the 14th. And it actually, we were looking for the ball for a little while because 14th green is elevated. Didn't realize that it was actually on the green. There was another group up there that were actually playing the 14th and they were about to start putting. So I went up and they're like, oh, yeah, it's that one, mate. I'm like, okay. And I was still about 240 meters from the green, had to get over some trees and I had to play right over the green,
Yep.
their green, not my green, their green.
Yep.
So picked up the ball, dropped it back behind the green, and took my 5-wood out. Was going to try and launch one up over the trees back to the 4th fairway. And as I was kind of just, getting from, sort of classic think box into play box, about to stand up, line up, old mate in the group goes, oh, I'll just get the flag stick out of your way.
Thanks, mate.
I'm like, okay. I wasn't thinking about the flag stick. I did not see that as being in play at all, but thanks.
Yeah.
So no, it's all right. It's not in play. He goes, oh, no, I'd hate to see you hit it. I'm like, thanks. So he runs up, lays the flag stick down, comes back out of the way. I'm like, okay, no worries. Here we go. So anyway, as it transpires, it's a bloody good thing that he actually did take the flag stick out.
Because it went straight over the top of it.
Because I actually thinned it. And it wouldn't have been far off it.
Yeah, right.
But what it did is it hit smack into a tree trunk on the other side of the green, came back across the green, and ended up in the greenside bunker.
Excellent.
Which I was really happy about at that point in time. And I should mention my 10-year-old son was caddying for me. So that was a test of character. So anyway, cut a long story short, hit a 7-iron out of there, through the trees, almost to the fairway, was kind of blocked out a little bit by a tree, hit a great 8-iron, hooked it around a tree onto the green, 2-putted double bogey. So it wasn't great, but it could have been so much worse.
No, not as bad as what it could have been.
Yeah, it could have easily been a quad. So anyway, I was walking off the 4th green just with that feeling of complete and utter disappointment in myself.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons. One, knowing that it probably wasn't going to become a flag round to get into the single digits. And 2, being I knew at that point that I was going to have to get on the podcast and explain what had happened.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do. So feeling the misery, as we've all felt. Now, on the drive on the way to the course, I'd said to the young man, if you see me getting a bit down, because it could happen, the mantra today is next shot, let it go. You can't hit it. You can't hit a golf shot twice. Just focus on the next one shot at a time. Stay in the present.
Yep. So did he start giving you a bit of that?
Yeah. Yeah, he
Excellent.
did.
Good.
Yeah, he did.
Good. I like it.
And here's the thing. I tried to resist it.
Yeah.
To say, no, I need to be cranky. I need to feel the feelings. I need to let them, process them and let them out. And he stayed on it. He's like, no, you can't hit it again. Next shot, focus on the next shot. Don't hit another bad one. Focus on the next one. You can't hit them again. Nice work, young man. Nice work.
Yeah. Young Hinksy.
Yeah. Very impressive. Going to make a hell of a caddy one day. I then went from that. So what was I? I was 6 over after 4. I finished the front 9 7 over. So the next 5 holes I actually went par, bogey, birdie, par, finish. The birdie was a good one. It was on the long par 3. It was a good honest Texas wedge from off the
Nice.
green, which is always fun. So finished the 9-7 over. The second nine was going, well, look, it was going sort of okay, not brilliant. But to be honest, I ran out of puff and I went 5 over in the last 4 holes to unfortunately shoot 2 fat ladies, an 88, which once again equated to 30 Stableford points, but wasn't enough. Andy Walker wasn't enough, so I stay at 10.0.
So 10.0.
10.0 it is. Yep.
Well, I'm pleased to say that I still haven't played another competition round, so my 2.8 is still hanging over my head, dropping off in my next competition round. I've taken a bit of and I'm just trying to figure out what my best approach is, because what I'm trying to work on at the moment, getting the over the top and cutting across it, holding the left hand through impact. So just trying to get out of that and getting back on plane. So I'm thinking that just for the next maybe month or so, just being on the range is my best way forward. And then, in addition to being on the range, working on short game and putting rather than going out to practice, which I know in the Missing Links Masters, I'm going to have to overcome that particular challenge. But yeah, I just feel as though competition rounds for me at the moment, I just need I need to do some work on that. Which quite interestingly, on another point, I have got my first golf coaching session on Friday, so I'm gonna run these ideas past my new golf coach.
That is very exciting. Very exciting. I don't know. I have some concerns about your commitment, Andy Walker. I thought when we went into this that we're on the same page, and that we were both going to be doing everything that we could to try and improve and put ourselves under pressure. And I'm a bit concerned that you're not necessarily putting in enough effort to play competition rounds.
And look, everyone's on their own journey, including us, and I completely respect your position and
You say
and
that
what
with
you're.
such respect in your voice.
I'm trying to keep a straight face. All right, come on. Look, at the end of the day, I believe that I do need to play more competition at some point, but right now what I'm trying to work on, I feel as though it's probably better for me to stick to the range. And the other part of that as well is that, you know, we talked about my quarterly schedule, and right now being November, I am in one of my really, really busy months. So for me to go out and play competition, probably a little bit too much to ask. So just sneaking off to the range for an hour and a half is going to going and doing a short game session for an hour is going to serve me a lot better. So again, just trying to, I guess, commit to having 1 or 2 touch points with golf each week, rather than trying to play in a competition and then realize, no, I've got too much work on, and scratching myself out the night before.
Also, another perspective worth considering is this sort of Damocles that's hanging over your head at the moment in the form of your 2.8 differential round that's due to drop out the bottom end of your 20 rounds.
Do you think I just should bite the bullet and get it over with? Is that what you're saying?
If I was in your shoes, walking into the major event of the year, the Missing Links Masters, and I had the opportunity to eject a 2.8 prior to that tournament commencing, I would be tempted.
Hadn't thought about that. Hadn't thought about that, to be honest with you. And we do, and at my local club, we have a Tuesday comp. So I do have one Tuesday that I potentially could jump in and get that 2.8 done.
I mean, you might also then, if you had a non-flagged round on Tuesday ejected, that probably attracts some conversation around sandbagging.
What was your suggestion? I mean, it wasn't coming from me.
Just an observation, well, not a suggestion. merely an observation. I mean, when it comes to sandbagging, one could argue that um, throwing away 2 free swing rounds on the trot
Could
may
potentially fit into
possibly
that
fall into
category as well.
category as well.
Yeah.
But no, we would never do that. At the Missing Links, we do not sandbag, nor do we condone any sandbag related behaviors or cheating in any form, to be honest, because you're only cheating yourself.
And look, on the contrary, and you and I have had these conversations quite often, is when we do get off to a bad start and young Mr. Hinks just absolutely hit the nail on the head, is that you've just got to get up and play the shot in front of you. And for the next 12, 13, 14, or however many holes you've got left, you score as well as what you can on those remaining holes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To be honest, some of the rounds I look back on the fondest have been not the best rounds, but they've been the ones where the front nine's not been good and I haven't thrown it away and I've actually scratched out some kind of a score as a result. And I think that if you can do that, that feeling of satisfaction is actually really strong. You might end up shooting the same number as what you shot if you did the reverse, where you had a really good first nine and then you had a really poor finish. And when that happens, you walk off the course feeling really grumpy and really upset with yourself because you feel like you've let one get away. But the days when you've had a bad start, but you can turn it around and salvage something, I think that's actually a lot in that, and that you feel quite happy about.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that just shows that, and I really like the word resilience. You know, if you can learn resilience, both on and off the golf course, that'll stand you in good stead for a whole array
without a doubt,
of situations in life.
And the thing with golf, it's resilience when sometimes you deserve to be in the situation that you're in because it's been your own poor play that's got you there.
Yep.
And at other times it's resilience when, you know what, you've been unlucky and, you know, you've had 2 or 3 bad bounces, you've had putts lip out, you've had great drives land in unfilled divots, you know, all those sorts of things. So that nevertheless, regardless of what put you in the situation in the first place, being able to still overcome that and come back, I think they're really good things to learn.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? Is it Bobby Jones who had that great quote that golf is the closest game to life in that you get good breaks from bad shots, bad breaks from good shots, but you always have to play the ball as it lies.
Yes, such
a good quote. That's a quality quote. Quality quote.
Such a good quote. Andy Walker, we've gone over the 45-minute barrier. Just
okay. So what? We're a third of the way through. Is that what you're saying?
I feel like we stretched the friendship a little bit on this one. And I base that purely on feedback from our listeners, because what we haven't done yet is got to any of the introduction for this year's Missing Links Masters, and I feel like
we haven't.
We've promised that. I think we need to do a little bit of that. So, let's dive into that. The Missing Links Masters. Look, where to begin? It's an event that's steeped in history. At least that's what we said when we inaugurated this event back in 2008. Ironically enough, at that point, of course, it was not steeped in history other than in our own minds. But now it is, because that's some 15 years ago. This was an event that was thought up by the Golf Society called the Missing Links, that I was fortunate enough to be a part of back in those days. And of course, that's where the name for this golf show stems from, and has, as we've learned over the years, so many more secondary meanings to it with the lessons that you learn along the way and the things that we continue to search for as golfers. But Masters,
are they the links that are missing?
They are very much the links that are missing, particularly
Excellent
when you're thinking about the point at which you're aiming. The event has always played for the jacket, the Missing Links Masters jacket, which is I think you'd best describe it as a greenish jacket. It's broadly speaking green. We don't know how much of that green is the original color, and how much has been added to over the years. We picked it up in a op shop, in a Vinnie's St Vincent de Paul shop back in 2008. I think we talked about this previously. It cost us $10 when we bought it originally, and there's about $700 worth of embroidery on it, which has recently been added to by Mr. Walker.
Correct.
Always, I mean,
it is their And
It is.
if we ever get this onto YouTube, I'll be able to show that in a little bit more uh, depth and detail, because it is a quality jacket.
Deserves it. Definitely deserves it. Probably deserves its own Facebook page, to be perfectly honest. The jacket.
True.
Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Mm.
Anyway, the format of the event, it's 2 rounds over 2 days, 2 Stableford rounds, cumulative. So add the two together and the highest total wins. Handicapped event, obviously, based on World Handicap System handicaps. What else can we say about the event? There's always some festivities between rounds. So in the evening, there's some festivities, which I think I would consider as part of the event. It has been said previously that the winner of the Missing Links Masters is not only the best golfer, but is in fact the best man. So I think that
Yep.
holds true. Um, Previous venues this year, we've talked a little bit about the fact that we're playing on the beautiful fairways of Mudgee Golf Club. Can't wait to get there.
Mm.
Um, Previous venues, the inaugural event in 2008 was actually played at Kangaroo Valley,
Right.
down in the
Okay.
Southern Highlands.
Never played
Uh,
Kangaroo Valley. I've driven past it a few times, but it looks
it,
like a great golf course.
it's a beautiful golf course. It is a par, I want to say 69,
Right.
slightly shorter, but it's spectacular. That it's very up
Mm.
and down. The views are just incredible. You'll hit tee shots where your ball is just framed against the green mountains in the background.
Yep.
Just spectacular. Really, really good track. Definitely one for us to consider for another weekend, without a doubt. Accommodation on the course as well, which is brilliant.
Yep.
So it's a really, really good place to go for a weekend away. Um, some other venues we've played at, Magenta Shores has hosted
Nice.
actually previously. Cypress Lakes has hosted previously. Uh, Andy Walker, any
Actually,
standout venues from your
let's come
memory?
back to Cypress Lakes, because Cypress Lakes, that was my first Missing Links Masters, and it was without doubt the worst weather conditions that I
Mm,
have ever experienced on a golf course. And this was at a time where I was just trying to play a little bit more golf, did not have any wet weather gear. And look, I usually find golf to be enjoyable, but that day
yes,
at Cyprus, beautiful golf course, and I love to go back to play when it's dry. But I just felt like a drowned rat
it was
on that
horrible,
day. It was
horrible,
it was just
horrible.
the worst weather conditions I've ever played golf in, and I didn't have wet weather gear.
Yeah, it was bad. I'll put it
Mm.
this way: I had wet weather gear, and it was still terrible. So I can only imagine what it must have been like for you.
Mm.
Yeah, it was awful. The event that year won by Nhi Tran Dinh, Vietnam's first Masters winner in any format.
Mm.
So I think congratulations, Nhi. That was some quality golf. Nudged it up the middle. You know, that's Knee's game. He has gained a bit of length though, in recent times. Put his legs into the swing as well as his arms,
Yep.
because I do recall on that weekend he was challenged by a forced carry of about 180 meters
Yes.
over water.
Yes.
Let's just say he took a wipe on that hole.
Mm.
But that was a fantastic weekend.
Yeah.
So this year we're looking forward to another one. There's been some illustrious winners over the years. Andy Walker, you yourself are a winner.
Defending champion, I
Defending
believe, and
champion.
and
Yep.
and potentially the first, if I can sneak it in there, and maybe my
Ooh,
2.8 round coming off next week might
going
help
early.
me. First back-to-back winner.
Never
So
been
the,
done.
the pressure's on. I feel for me to get up there and shoot a decent score to put myself in the chance and contend.
You'd hate to shank one when you were leading or something like that. That
Mm.
would be terrible. But yes, it's never been done. So that's a big call. Big call early. We'll definitely come back to that next week. I myself, multiple winner, two-time winner, not back-to-back though, but two-time winner. Some other winners. There's one actually I wouldn't mind calling out. I can't remember what year it was, but Andy Walker, you might be able to look this up. Stevie Diamond, another former winner. Now,
One moment.
interesting. Yes, let us know which year that was. Mr. Diamond took it out in, I want to say, 2013, 2012, maybe 2012, was it? 2013. My first guess was right. 2013. So really interesting player, Stevie
Uh,
Diamond.
it actually says he's a multiple winner, 2011 and 2013.
Well, there you go. 2011 is probably one I'm thinking of. It was his breakthrough win, which was at Barnbougle Dunes in Tasmania.
Oh, what a great golf course that is.
Yes, spectacular. Um, the thing with Mr. Diamond is that if you look on Urban Dictionary and you look up Diamond with a Y, Dymond,
Yep.
um, you will see that his name has in fact become synonymous as a golfing term. This is a little known golfing term.
Right.
People have heard of words like shank, like birdie, like bogey, all of those sorts of things. But a diamond, to do a diamond means to lead comfortably after 9 holes and
Right.
then to have an absolute shocker on the back nine and fall completely out of contention.
Wow.
Yes. So whilst he's a multiple winner, had been known on many, many occasions to do that. Uh, Such was the point that a golf term, was actually named in his honor to do a
Excellent.
diamond. Now, as you can
Excellent.
imagine, as a guy with two sons, he wasn't a massive fan of that. And I
Mm.
do recall a conversation pleading with the rest of the members of the Missing Links to not, in fact, pursue this as a thing.
And
Um,
how'd that go over?
with his rationale being, I just don't want my sons to grow up with our family name meaning something like that.
Yeah, right.
Um, and if nothing else, that really cemented its place in the
Yeah.
vernacular. So
Yeah.
I would ask all of our listeners to please embrace the use of the term to do
The
a
diamond.
diamond at
Mm.
any point. And when you got a mate that's leading after 9 holes and looking good, maybe whisper in his ear, hey, don't do a diamond. And don't explain it. Don't explain what it is. Just leave it out there. And then after the
Nice.
round, explain what it is.
Nice.
And please, any stories of that working or otherwise, please drop that on our Facebook page. Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook will be absolutely fantastic. So I think that's a bit of a build up. But look, what can we expect from this year's event, Andy Walker? What are you looking forward to this year?
Look, I think I haven't been to Mudgee before,
Oh, it's a good
and
course. Good course.
I've heard it's a very very good golf course. There are some stunning wineries
Mm.
out out in the Mudgee Way, so I'm looking forward to visiting a couple of the wineries and tasting the local produce.
Before or after the round, Mr. Walker?
I'd like to say after,
Mm.
but it also maybe before.
Yep. Fair call.
Mm.
That's fair call.
Also, I believe, and talking about Vietnam's first Masters champion,
Mm.
Nhi Tran Dinh, he has organised a couple of restaurants for us to go to on the Friday and Saturday evening, which,
He
again, by the
has.
look of the restaurants, they look very, very good. So, again, looking forward to tasting the local produce out around Mudgee Way.
Yeah, and I'm glad you raised that because a new tradition this year, which has been added to the Missing Links Masters, is the Champions Dinner,
Mm,
which is on the Friday night before
yep.
round one on the Saturday. And the Champions Dinner, bit different to what happens in Augusta, where it's only previous champions that get invited. The Champions Dinner this year is when everyone that's playing gets invited, but the defending champion picks up the bill. So yeah, new tradition that's been added this year.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. Like,
Yeah, not happy with that?
no, no,
Oh, that's a shame.
no.
All right, how about we amend the rules? We won't say that because that's a bit unfair. But the defending champion will stand up at some point throughout the evening at everybody else's choice and make a speech
Yeah, happy with that.
to
Happy with
to
that.
to the crowded restaurant.
Mm. To everyone in the restaurant.
To everyone in the restaurant. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah, happy with that.
Excellent. All right. Well, we'll record
Can,
that and we'll
can,
and
can
we'll
it
include
be
that.
can it be a topic of my choice?
Um, that is a good question.
Yeah, because it could be that I choose the Siberian wolf monkey.
The Siberian wolf monkey. I
Yeah.
of all people should have heard of this particular animal. should it exist, but I'm not sure that it does.
Mm.
So I don't know. I do feel like that the speech needs to be on topic.
Mm.
Yeah, and needs to be one full of inspiration and and relevant anecdotes. But we can work on that. We'll work on that. We'll come back
Okay.
to that next episode, which of
Mm.
course will be there or thereabouts of the Missing Links Masters. So there you go. There's build up part one. I feel like build up
Excellent.
part two in the next episode is going to include a little bit more about who's competing, and hopefully as we build the hype on this in future years, you never know, this could become a broader listener event.
Mm.
That's definitely possible. So something to look out for down the track.
Yeah.
But
Looking
it
forward to
is
that.
it is the biggest event on the Missing Links Diary. I am excited. I know you are too. I can't wait to get there, to get things started, and certainly to see what dramas unfold this year. There's always something, whether or not that's someone repeatedly asking the band to play House of the Right. No, what was it? Hotel California.
Mm.
Last year. Outstanding work. We'll see if that happens again this year. Hopefully not, but you never know. Anyway, anything else, Mr. Walker, before we say our farewells for this week?
No, look, I think that there's going to be plenty come out of the next week, and certainly looking forward to my first coaching session. And I do want to clarify a few things with my new coach, specifically around. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, that as I've learned and starting to listen to more about golf over the last month or so, listening to podcasts, reading books. There's a lot of information out there, and you can really, I think, dig yourself into a hole of that information, and some of it becomes contradictory.
Mm.
So I think, you could really go down the paralysis by analysis line when it comes to information about golf. So part of what that conversation is going to be on Friday is that, okay, well, what are our goals? Where do we want to be in 12 months' time? What approach are we going to take, and what information is going to support that approach, and then discounting everything else. So I feel as though that's going to be a conversation, and a very important conversation in the upcoming journey.
Sounds like a big one. Very interested to hear how that pans out as well. I feel like I need to go in a similar direction at some point. I need to find that coach to move forward with, and to do exactly what we're saying, is figure out what we want to focus on, what we want to spend our time on, and not get distracted by, I don't know, things like fellow podcast hosts trying to plant weight distribution theories into your head in some type of an inception attack a week out from a major tournament. But
who would do such a thing?
I don't know. Life choices. We need to have a look at them. But anyway, it is that time. We are over the hour, a little bit over the hour, but I think it's been a good hour. It's been a lot of fun. It's been
Definitely
a good chat about a wide variety of topics. And for everyone out there listening, thank you so much for sticking with it. Please jump on the Facebook page, the Missing Links Golf Show on Facebook. Drop us a line, question.
Love your
comment,
feedback. Love your feedback.
all of the above. Get involved there, and maybe ask a few questions, things that you'd like to hear about in future episodes, or just your views on some of the topics that we've talked about. Please feel free to give us a review on your podcasting service of choice. As mentioned before, 5-star reviews are certainly welcome. Others, look, if you've got to, but 5 stars would be best. But definitely tick that auto download box. Downloads are important. They certainly help. They give us the motivation to know that there's people out there that are listening. We get very excited when we're hearing people from other parts of the world that are jumping on board. And I think I'd like to throw the challenge out there to everyone who does listen and enjoys the show. Flick it to someone else. Get someone else on board. Get another missing linkser in the crew, because the more of us around, the better. But on that note, I think there's only one thing left to do, Andy Walker, and that is to rock out to a bit of a fantastic royalty-free theme song.
Love it. Love it.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.